I journeyed to Barbuda this afternoon, and what I saw was heart-wrenching. I mean, absolutely devastating. In fact, I believe that on a per capita basis, the extent of the destruction in Barbuda is unprecedented. And it is unprecedented based on the type of storm. I mean, Hurricane Irma would have been easily the most powerful hurricane to have stormed through the Caribbean, and it is extremely unfortunate that Barbuda was right in its path.
I'm going to talk about Hurricane Irma, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So basically, the hurricanes that I watch are from the South Atlantic Ocean. The water's nice and warm, they gain lots of energy, and when they come into North America, usually through, well, I guess always through United States, when they hit land, then they lose energy. As long as they stay out over the water, then they'll keep their strength. Unless they move up to the cooler part, then they'll lose their energy, and if they suddenly take a turn towards us, then, you know, they die out pretty quickly. Southern Pacific, I don't pay too much attention to because they don't really affect us that much. They can alter the jet stream, but no, that's just the jet stream. It just brings normal storms to us or whatever, different weather patterns. So with Irma, what's happening here is it's coming into Florida, and if it stays on the track that's, I can't speak today. If it stays on its predicted track, then it's going to come up towards us. Like I'm right here in southern Ontario, and it's going to come up towards us like this. Now, any remnants of a hurricane that gets in this area, south of us or to the west, is generally going to affect us to some degree. The speed at which it comes towards us makes a huge difference, because the faster it's moving, then the sooner it'll get here before it loses energy, and the stronger it will be. It's unusual for us to actually get any category of hurricane, I guess you could say, in Ontario, but it has happened. Hurricane Hazel in 1954 is a good example, and basically what happened with it was when it got close, and the normal fall storms that we get combined with it, and that caused a lot of havoc in Toronto. And that was before I was born, so I have no experience with anything like that. But the ones that do reach us, by the time they get here, they're usually tropical depression or post-tropical depression. And what the results that we get from it is just absolutely torrential downpour, really, really warm water. It's amazing. And the reason I'm watching Irma is because it's going to be getting really close to us, and if we do get it, and hopefully it'll be at night, and it'll be a perfect opportunity for me to go out on my bike on that night. And I had that once. I was out at the conservation area. I don't remember which one it was, but when it reached us, there's no wind or anything. It just, I can't even describe it. It's like a constant waterfall of water, warm water, and I was out there when it hit, and I was just, I can't describe what it was like. It was beautiful. It was just absolutely amazing. So that's why I'm watching this storm, because it is heading towards us, and by the time it gets here, it's basically going to be a tropical depression. And if you remember earlier this year in June, Tropical Storm Cindy, which was down here in the Gulf of Mexico, which is really, really warm water, and it spent some time down there gaining energy, and then it kind of came up, but it never actually reached us. Just the moisture that was with it combined with our storms, and well, you saw the flooding that resulted from that. So that's kind of why I'm watching at the moment.
We're seeing some subtle but very important forecast changes to the track of Irma as it approaches the coast of Cuba overnight tonight through Saturday, and then makes that all-important turn towards the Florida Peninsula Saturday night into Sunday morning, potentially even as a Category 5 storm. It's going to be strong, either a 4 or a 5, as it makes a landfall or close to it around the Keys, and then right now, the track takes it towards the Everglades as a landfalling hurricane, Category 4 status, sometime Sunday around midday. But note how this track, this cone of uncertainty, we call it, has shifted towards the west. So it's not going to move east of Miami, but it could even move farther offshore towards the west side of Florida. After it moves towards the north and makes that landfall, it will start to weaken, but still be a significant storm for the entire Florida peninsula, weakening over Georgia, more so towards a tropical storm, then after that dissipating. So if you live in southern Ontario, Quebec, Atlantic Canada, don't worry, this storm is not going to be coming your way as a major threat.
So I'm hoping it reaches us, and hoping it's at night, and hoping I can actually get out and enjoy the remnants of this. Unfortunately, in order for that to happen, it has to hit areas, affect people, and cause damage in order for it to weaken to get to the point where I can enjoy it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I don't wish these storms to happen. It's just, if they do happen, I'd like to take advantage of it, unfortunately.
What I want to do, though, is break down kind of hour by hour what's happening for Cuba and Florida as we move through the next 2 days, because this is going to be a devastating storm for many areas. First off, tonight through tomorrow morning, it's Cuba. And a lot of people have been, or know people have been, to these resorts. Cayo Coco, this beach is going to be wiped out. Many of these resort buildings will be wiped out as well. Cayo Santa Maria, this is the causeway. That's what it looks like that connects Cayo Santa Maria to the mainland. This likely will not be there this time tomorrow. We're going to deal with Category 4 winds, over 200 kilometers per hour, causing extensive damage. So hopefully everyone has been evacuated from those places. Veradero. Initially, it didn't look like Veradero was going to take a direct hit, and it still may not be a tremendously damaging storm, but it's going to be close. And we may see significant storm surge pushing in from the northwest. So Veradero may be cut off from mainland Cuba. After that, well, then it's that turn towards the north, and we have to watch for potentially a borderline Category 5 storm moving through the Florida Keys. I wouldn't say there's any good news with this, but maybe you could say that it's better to take the storm in this fashion towards the Everglades than it would be a direct hit on Miami. So let's say this forecast track holds. That means Miami, Fort Lauderdale would take more of a Category 3 type storm, and the Cat 4 winds would be in the Everglades, the Keys, and we'd even have to watch the area around Naples, Bonita Springs, as well as Fort Myers. After that, the storm should start to weaken if it's over land. Orlando, though, would still have hurricane force winds as we move through Sunday night into Monday morning, and then after that, the storm weakens further over Georgia. These subtle shifts in the track mean everything in terms of who gets the worst of the storm. We cannot get out of this. Cuba and Florida will be hit very hard, but keep an eye on that track over the next 2 days.
So it sucks. These storms are very destructive, but like I say, the remnants of what's left of these when they reach us is actually my favorite conditions for going out for bike rides. So watching and see what happens. But for today, I've got a job to do, and that is finishing the jigsaw puzzle of rocks at the front of the shelter. So it's been a really tough job doing this today. And every time I pick up a rock it gets a little bit heavier. And I know it's hard to tell with the fast video, but I took a lot of breaks, and towards the end the breaks were getting more frequent. And it's hard to see that because every time I walked out of range of the camera, that part's cut out just to make it, you know, a little bit shorter. But it's pretty tough, and a little more of a challenge this time because I stopped when I got to the edge of the shelter, so I had to create another straight line. So I had, more or less at that point, I was making 3 straight lines. So one in front of the shelter, at the end, and then against the side, or not really sidewalk, but a previous patio area, I guess, straight line there as well. So I still have another 4-foot square to go on the other side of the shelter, but the energy level I have at this point, I'm not sure if I'm really going to get to it. So just in case I don't finish, then I made this straight line, so I can consider it finished for now. If that happens to be the case, that I can finish it in the springtime or whatever, next summer, next fall likely. So that's kind of what I did there. And if you wonder what I'm doing with the hose, yes, I'm going to put the rocks in place and I'm putting dirt in between them. But I'm soaking the dirt down so that I'm pre-settling the earth. So, and once the rain hits, then you know the dirt's not going to sink out of sight, and then I have to put more in. Because you can see the part I did in the last project when I started putting the rocks over. It's still at the surface, and I got quite a bit of rain since then. So that's the purpose of that. Just kind of sticking dirt in the cracks, hosing it down to settle it. And a lot of the rocks are closer together at the top than they are at the bottom, and it's hard for me to get my fingers in there to ram the dirt in. So this way it just kind of flows into place and kind of holds everything tight. So at this point the dog can't dig, and he's still got all this nice fresh dirt at the end, which will be a problem. He really likes the fresh dirt. It's softer, easier for him to dig in it. So I just kind of put one of those plywood planks over it, or just block it off. Keep him out of there for now until the ground at least solidifies there anyways. And then I get to start the next project.